Hey, you are in for a real treat today. I'm going to show you how you can select the perfect DJ for the wedding that you want to have. My name is Robert Walk. I'm an award-winning DJ and wedding experience specialist. Since 1984, my team and I have planned over 12,000 weddings. We've performed at over 5,000 weddings in front of more than 500,000 family members and friends. Every couple is different. Every couple, what they consider to be like the ultimate wedding is different, even though there are some certain things that are very similar. So let me go ahead and start this slideshow here, and I'll kind of walk you through the process. Okay, let me hit share, and let's go ahead and start this slideshow from the beginning. So how to select the perfect DJ for your wedding. I have 6 couples on here, and I did this on purpose. The first couple up here in the upper left-hand corner is Neil and Christina, which I'll talk about in a minute. Then we have Michael and Erica. They wanted to have a really great first dance. So they took lessons and they choreographed their first dance. But it was kind of what we did prior to their first dance that really set that first dance up for really something memorable, putting them both in the right frame of mind. If you want all of these people in here that I'm about to just quickly mention are on, you can watch videos of their testimonials of how they felt about the work by working with me. But it's not really about me, it's about you. It's about helping you discover what's going to be most important to you on your wedding day and what exactly you're going to need to achieve it. Next, we have Stephen and Betsy. They just wanted a really fun, lively wedding, lots of drinking, partying, dancing, and that's exactly what they got. I loved Sarah and Joey down here. They were looking for somebody different. They didn't want your typical DJ. And also Joey did a little serenade. He got out his guitar during the reception, and he serenade Sarah, and it was just absolutely wonderful, just a truly breathtaking moment for them, and just made it unforgettable. Next, there's Bobby and Allie. They had an outdoor wedding as well, and they just wanted to have a lot of fun, not worry about things. And they didn't mind investing a little more money to make sure that they got the end result or that outcome that they were looking for. And then finally on here, I have Rosalani and Mark. They're just very laid back, very chill. They wanted their wedding to reflect that in them. So they wanted to have fun, and they wanted everything to run smoothly, be stress-free. In fact, that's something almost every couple wants. They want to have a great flowing wedding. They want it to be stress-free. They want their guests to be engaged, entertained, dancing, having fun, but they also want it to be reflective of who they are. So it's like, if they're not over the top people, they don't want to hire somebody that's going to be over the top and acting, crazy. They want somebody that's going to be a reflection of who they are, but also making sure that everything runs smoothly so that they don't have that stress and everyone stays engaged and everyone's having a great time, and whatever a great time looks like to them. So anyway, I'm going to talk about a lot of different things on here. I'm going to try to get through them fairly quickly. I have a hard time getting through things quickly because so many thoughts pop up into my mind, and I want to share everything with you. But because this is a recorded video, I can't talk about your wedding, your wedding in specific. I have to talk about other people's weddings, but it's a great place to start to give you ideas. But then if you have other questions, I want you to leave me questions. I want you to reach out to me. I'm here to help. So anyway, the Knot did a survey. Now, the Knot has been around for quite a few years, over 20 years, I believe now. They were actually in September 25th of 2019, they were purchased by WeddingWire. So WeddingWire and the Knot are these two gigantuan online wedding planning services. The Knot's been around a little bit longer, but WeddingWire purchased the Knot in September of 2019 for $933 million. They're great resources, but they give you a bunch of information, but you need to get that one-on-one time with people because you can't work with the Knot or WeddingWire. You're working with the vendors that they're representing. So anyway, on the Knot, they did a survey. Almost 100% of the couples say that they would have spent more of their budget on the entertainment. Now, if the entertainment's important to you, then that's what you should also do. But if it's the food or the venue or the photography or the videography, whatever is most important to you, that's where you should focus a larger portion of your budget. Within 1 week after the reception, 78% of the brides, don't know what happened to the groom on this survey, but 78% of the brides say that they would have made the entertainment their highest priority. And then when asked, 81% of the guests said that what they remembered most about the wedding was the entertainment. So I'm not saying entertainment is the most important to you, but if you want to have a great flowing, stress-free wedding where your guests are engaged, entertained, dancing, and having a great time, there is no other vendor that will play a bigger role in accomplishing all of those things for you. But now we still need to figure out which events on your day are going to mean the most so that we can highlight those according to your importance, no one else's, but yours. And then let's see. So objectives today is I want to help you to begin thinking about the experience that you want to have and that you want your guests to, that experience that you want them to walk away with, the memories. So as a result of attending your wedding. And also we need to figure out, what you're going to need to achieve that. So you don't spend a bunch of money on things that don't actually move you closer to what you want. Now, let me just say it like this. Every dollar that you invest or spend on your wedding is either going to move you closer to that final outcome, result, experience that you want, or it's going to have very little or no impact on it. So knowing what's important allows you to focus on that first, invest the money where you're going to get the biggest and best return, and then you can always cut back on things that are less important to you. That is about the only way you're going to stay on budget. In fact, WeddingWire did a survey, and in their survey, they revealed that 74% of couples exceed their budget by 40%. Now, there's lots of reasons why that happens, and I actually do some other videos where we talk about that. I have a planning video session that I do that's awesome, but it's not about that today. But let me just say this. Most couples have expectations way up here. They want to have the best wedding. They want to have the best of everything, but their budget doesn't support those expectations. Now, most people cannot afford the best or the biggest and the best of everything, but almost everyone can afford. In fact, they can't afford not to invest a little more on the things that are going to have the biggest impact on what is going to be most important to them on their day. So we're going to figure out what you're going to need to accomplish that. And then what is your next step? What step should you take after watching this video that will move you closer to achieving everything that's important to you on your wedding day? So part of creating that experience for you is you need to know what you'd like to remember or what you want to experience, what you want that day to be like, which events on your day are going to stand out head and shoulders above everything else, so you know which vendors can actually help you accomplish that, but also how to put it in a sequence of a timeline so that everything happens in a great sequence where everyone stays engaged, entertained, dancing, having fun, but also maximizing the amount of time that you have on your wedding day so that you can actually enjoy this with your family and friends. which leads me to this question, which I think is a great question. There is one answer that everyone would agree upon, but there really aren't any right or wrong answers. The question is, money can't buy you what? What is it that money cannot buy you? Let me help you. All the money in the world cannot buy you one more second of time. Now, that's true about every day of our life. In fact, since I started this video, I'm not sure how much time has elapsed, but maybe 10 minutes or something like that. And that 10 minutes is now gone. On your wedding day, when that time is gone, it is gone forever. Here, let me give you an example. Okay, let's say you have a job and you go to work Monday through Friday from 8 to 5. So each morning you get up, Monday morning you get up and you get ready and you go to work, you drive there and you do your job, you perform your job. If you do something wrong, or maybe you didn't complete it, you didn't get everything done that day, or maybe you just have new things that come up the next day. But the point is that you will get up the next day and you will continue to work on it. And you will continue to move, get the things done that you were hired to do. But on your wedding day, you have one day. Everything must fit into that one day. This list right here, I have two names for it. The first name is the overwhelming slide, because look at all the number of things that take place typically on a wedding day. And all of these are moving pieces. They can be, you can take things out, you can add things in, but this is just a general list of things that typically happen on a wedding day. I also call this the moment by moment slide. Actually, I put these in a great sequence, but the moment by moment meaning it's like all of these things happen. And if we don't put them together in that perfect sequence, which highlights what's most important to you, but also keeps your event flowing smoothly so that your guests, they want to see what's next, that, there's always something happening, but it doesn't feel rushed, but it all happens in a way that it flows smoothly. And it's so entertaining and so engaging that they're spellbound. You have a captivated audience. And that, by the way, is your DJ or your master of ceremonies. One of their jobs is to captivate, engage, direct, inform, and guide all of the events on your wedding day. So anyway, let's keep moving along here. The other part of your experience is making sure that it reflects who you are. You have one opportunity. You're never going to have this group of people together at one place and at one time, probably ever again during your lifetime. So do you want it to reflect who you are? And you want them to walk away knowing that this was your wedding, not just some cookie cutter wedding, but your wedding. And all of the things that were important to you were accomplished. And all the things that were really super important that maybe it could be like a first dance or your vows or whatever it is to you, really stand out and wow them in a way so that it's unforgettable. So we want it to reflect your personalities. And finally, for that experience is we need to create that perfect flow. The perfect flow is it keeps everyone engaged and entertained, but also things move so smoothly that it's the sequencing, it's the ability to keep things moving in a way that not only keeps it running smoothly, but also allows you to have the maximum amount of time to enjoy this experience with your family and friends. And that another word for that would be your timeline, or I like to call it your roadmap, because your roadmap takes all of those moments and it puts them in the perfect sequence. Now, here's something else that we have to, there's always this little thing in the middle here, a caveat, if you will, is your wedding is a live event. So things will come up. So you want to hire somebody that has the knowledge and the experience to make changes with a moment's notice, but make it look like you planned it years in advance. The only way you're going to have that or get that from a professional, a vendor, is through experience. I have seen, cakes fall over, have fire alarms go off. I have had people pass out. I have seen just about everything. In fact, I'll tell you more of these stories if we talk again at another time. And I've got some doozies that not only are they entertaining, but some of them will just almost make your jaw drop. So anyway, creating that timeline, your roadmap, is something that I do. I believe it is your DJ, your master of ceremonies job, to create that timeline, but then facilitate it, make it happen, but has the ability to make changes on the fly. Before anything happens on your wedding day, I'm going to make sure you're ready. I'm going to make sure that any parents are present so they don't miss any of these things happening live. I'm also going to make sure all of your vendors are in the right place where they want to be to capture and do their best work as well, but also including all of your family and friends and the wedding party that needs to know it's my job as your DJ and MC to direct all of the events, inform everyone what's about to happen, and then guide you very smoothly through the process. This is Neil and Christina. I said I was going to mention them again a little bit later. Now, every couple that I've worked with is different. So anyway, I met with Neil and Christina a few years ago. They came like bouncing into this Panera Bread where we were meeting. And they were both like just all smiles, kind of like what you see in the photograph here, which this is actually after the wedding. But before the wedding, they came in, they're just all excited about everything. We shook hands, we introduced ourselves. And then Neil went from this really happy face into total trepidation. He was just like, Robert, and this is what he said to me. He says, Robert, our wedding, Christina and my wedding, is super, super important to us. And we know that the DJ that we hire is going to make or break our wedding. So I want to know, what are you going to do to make our wedding the best wedding ever? And I said, Neil, that is a great question. I'm so glad you asked it. Unfortunately, I don't have an answer for you yet. But over the next 60 to 90 minutes, we're going to sit down. We're going to take some time. We're going to get to know each other, our personalities, see if we vibe. And I'm going to ask you a lot of questions. And from those questions, I am going to draw out of you which events on your wedding day are actually going to mean the most to you. And then I'm going to give you some ideas, maybe some suggestions, and we're going to come up with the perfect plan to accomplish everything important so that your wedding is the best wedding ever. How does that sound? Well, they looked at each other and, they smiled, and then they turned back to me and they said, you're our guy. What do you need from us? Well, it turns out that Neil and Christina were really big into this combination or joining their families. Neil had been married before, had a couple children. In fact, his daughter and my daughter cheer at the same place. So I run into Christina and Neil every now and then. They don't cheer on the same team, but they are at the same facility. So our relationship is like, we still talk, and they still, every time I see them, they thank me again for the amazing wedding. But the two things that they said on their wedding day that were important to them, they said, our vows. When we get married, we want someone, excuse me, we want our vows to be very meaningful. We want them to be, touching, emotional, because we're combining our families together, and we really want something special that's going to really stand out. So our vows are one of the things that's super important to us. And the other thing is, during the reception, we want our first dance to be, we just want to wow everyone. We want it to be unforgettable. There was actually a couple other things, but that they mentioned. One of them was actually presenting Christina's father with a bottle of Dom Perignon, because he said, if you ever get married, I want you to get me a bottle of Dom. So we did that as well. But their first dance and their vows, they ended up hiring me as their officiant. I am ordained. I've performed probably close to 200 weddings. Every wedding is different, but I take the time to get to know couples so well that I'm in a position to be able to share and make whatever events on their day are important to them really meaningful and also reflective of who they are. And so that's my job. That's my gift. And now I'll tell you, I have worked very hard at developing this. Now, you'd never know this about me, but I'm an extreme introvert. So it's like, when COVID hit, I was like, oh, yay, I get to go sit in a room by myself. But I love serving people, and I've developed a skill set that I believe really helps people achieve what's important to them. And we turn those moments on their wedding day into memories that they can, reflect back on and cherish for the rest of their lives. So for them, again, it was vows and first dance. We did a love story before their first dance. They danced on a cloud. If you want to see their testimonial, you can actually go onto the Knot, and you can theirs as well as all the others, I believe, that were in the photograph that I had earlier. So anyway, part of doing all of these things, you need to have a list of things that the DJ is responsible for. Every DJ should. Number one is every DJ should have great sound equipment. All of these things on this list are givens. Every DJ should have, not only should they have great sound equipment, but they should have great backup sound equipment. When I play a song and I load that song into the player, if it's not high quality, when I turn that song up, it's going to distort and hiss and probably hurt your ears. So the quality that you put in is every bit as important as what you're playing it through. And if you don't have the first setup and then a great backup setup, because it's not a matter of if something is going to fail, it's a matter of when it fails. And if I'm not prepared, I don't believe that I'm a professional, and I'm not able to then do what my couples have hired me to do, and that is to provide great music through a great sound system, which means I purchase all of my music. Every DJ should. You can get the highest quality. Every now and then there's a special song or a song that's not available that can be looked into, but every couple or every DJ should purchase their music. They should also have the music that you've requested. Now, let me say this. I personally, at a wedding, because there's grandparents, sometimes there's children, that type of thing. Personally, my rule of thumb is I will not play any explicit lyric music unless you twist my arm or it's all adults. I would prefer to keep it clean. There are clean versions of every song, so it's not like there's not going to be a song that you can't have played, but it just may not have that, the F-bomb or something like that. To help you select your music, I have a music database. In this music or on this music database, in fact, let me go ahead and do a different share, and I'll actually take you right to the music database here. And that way I can kind of walk you through it a little bit. Okay, let me just say, okay. So you should be looking at the music database. On my music database, there are some quick tips. You can actually prepare your playlist for your wedding day on this music database, or you can use it as a resource to help you choose the music. But you could actually prepare your own Spotify list or Apple playlist and just send us a link, and that's fine as well. but maybe you need some ideas. So part of the quick tips here is you can add, I allow you to add 10 must play songs to your playlist, 15 play if possible songs. You can add 10 do not play songs, or you could just say, hey, don't play this particular artist or this type of music. You can remove a song once you've added it to the list. You can add a note to the song. So you could say, hey, dedicate this song to my sister or my brother or my aunt or my uncle, that type of thing. You can listen to the song to make sure that it is the song that you have chosen. You can also see the lyrics to the song. So let's say you're selecting a song, it's the groom and he wants to have a song with his mother. So traditionally, a father or mother-son song is a dedication from the son to his mother. It doesn't have to be, but that's the way it's designed. You can look at the lyrics to the song to make sure that the message is what you want to convey to your mother. And then up here, there's a custom song button. I allow you to add 25 additional custom songs. So if the 10 must play and 15 play if possible weren't enough, you can add 25 additional songs for a total of 50 songs. Now, your first dance song is already a must play song. So I would not expect you to put your first dance, introduction music, first dance, father, daughter, mother, son, cake, bouquet, garter, any formal type of song that's part of the timeline are already must play songs. This would be up to 50 songs that you would like to hear for dancing. And then if we put them in if we have them positioned to where it's must play, we know these songs definitely have to be played, and we will determine where in your reception they will be best received. So let's go ahead and take a real quick look at this most requested. I'm going to click on it. This is going to show you the top 200 songs that are requested at weddings in the order to their popularity. Let's see if I can scroll down this a little bit. And they're in, as I said, in the order to their popularity. So there's 200 songs here. This is a really, really diverse list, and it gives you a ton of ideas of music that you could select for your wedding day. Now, if you look really closely at some of these songs, some of them, the regular versions, are explicit lyrics. But we wouldn't play that unless it's something that you have to have and also under the correct circumstances. Again, I believe that a wedding, it should be, inclusive of everyone and not be offensive to anyone. But it is your day, and I understand. I mean, I did the nightclub thing for many years, and it's like I like the real version, the original version. But that's something that we can obviously talk about in more detail. So anyway, let's go ahead and take this list right here. It says top 200. I'm going to hit the little drop down, and now there's a whole bunch of genres of music. So if you said, hey, I don't know, and look at these. In fact, let me kind of read them off to you real quick. Top 200, top trending, top pop, top 40, top rock, alternative, R&B, hip hop, rap, top dance, top country, Latin, reggaeton, 2010s, 2000s, 1990s, 80s, 70s, 60s, 50s, first dance, father, daughter, mother, son, wedding party, bouquet, garter, cake cutting, introductions, last dance, money dance, ceremony, processional, recessional, ceremony, seating, that type of thing. So all of this is in here. If you need ideas, let's just, for an example here, let's look at first dance songs. Let's say let's do father-daughter. I could send you a link to this father-daughter list or send it directly to your dad, because traditionally a father-daughter dance is a dedication from the dad to his daughter. Now there's also some really cool personalization things that I can do before you have that dance with your father or with your mother, or, it could be a mother-daughter song. It's up to you who you're going to dance with, but I've got some really great ideas of how we can personalize the introduction to that dance If this dance is a super important dance to you that can really make, for example, when I had my dance with my mother at my wedding, I wanted her to feel really special. So I had one of my guys that works for me, did the wedding, introduce that dance with my mom, but include some personal effects to that, that gave the message that I wanted my mother to have. So there were 6 questions that I answered, and I let him put them together and create an introduction, a personalized introduction, excuse me, for that dance with my mother. And it made it extremely memorable. My mother's no longer with us. So it's something that I will always look back and cherish. Okay, so I'm not going to get any more onto this music database, but it's really an awesome resource for you if you need ideas. Okay, so back to our screen here, and every DJ should list. Every DJ should play the music that you've requested at the right time, the right versions, but also at the correct volume. In other words, if you're having dinner and you have some instrumentals or some light vocals playing, you don't need it to be blaring in people's ears while they're trying to enjoy dinner and have a conversation. So the placement of speakers, and I wasn't planning to give you this, but here's a little bonus for you. When you're laying out your room or area for dancing, in my opinion, and you don't have to follow this, but the dance floor should be somewhat central to the room or the backyard or whatever, with tables framing the dance floor. And then if there's more tables, they spread out, but the dance floor is a focal point. Maybe at the front of the dance floor, if you decide that you're going to have a head table or a sweetheart table, you could position it there so that you don't have any guests behind you. You're looking out and seeing all of your guests. The DJ and maybe your cake or whatever dessert table could be off to one side or the other with you in the center. And then that way, everyone is around you. You have everything in front of you, and you get to enjoy this. And, you know, from a perspective of having your entire wedding day play out right before you. And everyone has easy access to the dance floor. So when the dancing is going, and I have some really great ways that I'll share with you, should we do a needs analysis for you on how to get everyone up, keep them up, and having a great time all night. Every DJ should have excellent microphone skills. When they use a microphone, when I use a microphone, there is a position that you use the microphone for the best sound, but also to make sure that everyone can hear and understand you. That position is about 2 inches from your chin, pointed up at your mouth. If you turn, you need to take it with you so that everyone can still hear. You're not talking, and then the position is very important. Also, photographs and video, you can now see the person's face. So I give these instructions to everyone using the microphone before they use the microphone, so that when they are sharing their toast or their speech or their sentiments, everything they say is heard and understood by you and all of your guests. Obviously, I tell you the same thing. You know, in case you wanted to say thank you to everyone, I will make sure that you know how to use the microphone properly. Every DJ should understand what you're trying to accomplish, what outcome you're trying to get to, what results you want to achieve, what you want that experience to be like for you and your family and friends, what memories you want to take away as a result of attending or being at your wedding. Before we make any recommendations on lighting and special effects and extra this and that, I don't want you to pay for something unless it's something that you need and you want. So I'm not going to take advantage of you and say, well, every couple needs to have these really cool lights. I mean, I've got some awesome lights, but it's like, if those things aren't important to you, maybe you just want it to be more simple and you're going to do like a backyard wedding and you have the bistro lights or that type of thing. Now I'm not saying that I would still have an open mind to all of these other things if you're trying to accomplish more of a dance party. Then lighting will play a bigger role, but that's something for another time. Again, I don't want to make any recommendations until I have a full understanding, a crystal clear vision of what you're trying to accomplish. Then I'm able to make the best recommendations and get you what you're trying to achieve for the least amount of money or investment on your part. Every DJ should also dress appropriately according to your event. Now, my team and I, we wear a suit. So a suit and tie. Now we have tuxedos, but right now they're just not the fashion. They're not in. So we're not using, that's not what we're wearing. We're wearing a suit and tie unless you say, hey, we're having this country shindig. We want you in, jeans, boot, a button down and a sport jacket or whatever. Whatever is appropriate, but we definitely want to look professional. We arrive, typically when we set up, we come in and set up, we're very casual, but then we change into our working attire so that we fit the mood and what you're trying to accomplish on your day. Every DJ should have liability insurance. It doesn't mean they're good or they're bad if they don't have it. It simply should be a red flag to you because every DJ should have liability insurance. Excuse me. So we carry a $1 million, $2 million life insurance policy. And if your vendor requires, we can add them as a certificate holder, additional insured, put their, whatever information they need and send that to them so they have what they need so that they're covered, you're covered, we're covered. Everyone has done the basic things that should be done in order to be a professional at an event. What are you going to need? So if you need music for your ceremony, we can provide the sound system for the music. We can provide a sound system for maybe a acoustic guitar, a microphone so that their vocals can be heard, microphones for the officiant, the groom. Now, because I'm ordained, I mentioned that probably earlier, I personally like to use a handheld microphone. Because when I use a handheld microphone, I control the volume simply by moving it closer or further away from my mouth. But also when I am giving instructions or maybe having you repeat vows after me, instead of hearing me say, I, John, take you, Susan, I would rather have the microphone and hold it right in front of John and say, John, repeat after me. And then I can whisper to him, I, John, take you, Susan. And then that way we only hear John instead of me. Now, I don't have any problem using a lapel mic. And I do like to put a lapel mic, wireless lapel mic on the groom. One microphone, either handheld or a lapel mic, can actually pick up all the people right by the microphone. But if you're very, very soft-spoken or emotional, then it's nice to have that second microphone maybe on the groom. I would not put one on a bride because you don't want to put a battery pack and all of that. But anyway, we're prepared for whatever you need at your ceremony. Then you may be having a cocktail hour. Now, there's lots of fun things we can do during the cocktail hour. I do something called a photo scavenger hunt. There's all sorts of different things that we can do. I'm not going to explain that now. It's something that I will get into more detail and tell you about should we talk another time. But also, one of the things that a lot of couples don't consider is sunset photographs. If you're planning on having sunset photographs, it's now depending, and also obviously depending on the time of day that you're getting married. If you're doing a really early afternoon, the sunset may be happening during or towards the end of your reception. Many couples get married and it's a little bit before sunset. But what we don't want to do is have you maybe be introduced into your reception and then have to go right back out for sunset photographs. So what I would recommend, this is kind of like one of those baker's dozen little idea, or is know when the sunset is and plan your cocktail hour and reception. Your reception should begin after the sun sets, so that you could be taking those sunset photographs during the cocktail hour and they're done. And then it's when you go into the reception, you get to just relax and enjoy the reception, opposed to being taken right back out, because everyone is there for you. So, but also we'll make sure that we invite everyone into your reception area, and we do so in plenty of time. So if you have assigned seating, we make sure everyone gets their place cards and they're seated before we begin all of the festivities, which could begin with your entrance, the grand entrance or introductions. There's lots of ways to do these things. I'm not going to get into everything, but I am going to say that we can have a lot of fun. For example, this particular couple gave me a bio on each and every couple that was in their wedding party. The couples did not know what the bride and groom had told me. They didn't know anything other than they were going to come into a song that they chose, and they wanted to do a really fun walk-in. So each of them had their own little thing that they were going to do. What they didn't know is that the bride and groom gave me these bios, and I took all this information that they gave me and I kind of honed it down, simplified it, but made it really fun. And because it was so much fun at this particular wedding, I introduced the bride and groom first. After their parents and grandparents, the bride and groom walked in, sat down at their sweetheart table, and watched as I introduced their wedding party. So they got to actually witness what was about to happen. Now, when we do something like this, I always tell couples, hey, if you talk about your wedding party on a wedding website, I wouldn't want you to send me any of that information, because people could have already read it. So I would want all new all new information on your wedding party. And I can take that and create something really fun. It could be as simple as this next bridesmaid. She is such a sweetheart, but boy, is she sassy. Please welcome Susie Sunshine. Or this next groomsman and Bill, our groom, have been drinking buddies since they were 12. No, all kidding aside. He's always had his back, been there for Bill whenever he's needed him. His best man, his best friend, please welcome Mr. Jim Jones, whatever. So it's like, it could be very simple or it could be more elaborate. And I have got tons and tons and tons and tons of ideas and stories that I'd like to share with you. So uplighting or lighting can be, that's something like you need to determine, you don't have to determine right away, but do you need lighting or do you want lighting? Do you want it to be more festive? You can use uplighting as a decorative lighting. So you could be, up different pillars like in this photograph here, or they can be sound active later on for dancing and kind of double as dance floor lights, which is something that I typically do because I don't like lights flashing in people's eyes. Now, if you like that, we can definitely do that for you. But with the proper uplighting, you can create a really nice atmosphere during dinner, but also then create that really fun party atmosphere during the reception. Something like this. Let me just... So I don't want to play a whole lot of that. There's music in the background. I hope you couldn't hear it. Excuse me one moment. Yeah. So the opposite of dance floor lighting would be pin spots. Pin spots, instead of going from the floor down, they come from the ceiling, from the floor up to the ceiling down would be a pin spot. Pin spots are great if you have really wonderful centerpieces that you don't want to disappear because of the darkness of the room or being outside and the lighting isn't set up properly. It could be for a cake, it could be for a guest book, it could be for your sweetheart table so that it doesn't disappear into the night. So it's just whatever is important to you, we can pin spot that to make sure that it's a highlight throughout the entire evening. Dancing on a cloud, just dancing on a cloud. I mean, it's now if you have an indoor reception, is the only time I would recommend that you would use a cloud machine. I use the Nimbus dry ice fogger. I have a couple of them. This particular couple, there's actually a bunch of stories with this, and maybe I'll tell them to you if we talk again another time. But it's like if you're outside, it'll be blown away, and you can't actually do a dancing on the cloud outside. You need to be indoors in a controlled circumstance. If there's ceiling fans above the dance floor, those need to be turned off, or air conditioners, that type of thing. And I'm in Arizona, so we just make sure that we have all of that taken care of ahead of time. And these are just ways, small things that your DJ needs to know in order to get the correct effect, and also that that experience that you're looking to achieve. Monograms is your name, obviously, in lights, or your initials, that type of thing. Sometimes I use, when I do bigger events where the effect needs to be something more grand, I will go outside and hire another company to do some of the things. But for the most part, I do everything myself, or my guys do. We do it all ourselves. Bliss Lights are laser lights with a nebula that can create more of a whimsical feeling during your reception. And they're awesome. They look great, but it just depends what you're trying to accomplish, what you want that feel to be, and that type of thing. Love letters, obviously, LOVE. These can be great as a photo opportunity where people can be standing on each side of the LOVE, or, put an arm on, that type of thing. So photo opportunities. They can also be sound active to the music, or they can be on like just a slow fade. There are several different colors, I believe 7 or 8 colors, and they can go through those. And so anyway, they can be a lot of fun, the love letters, and they can create a really nice atmosphere and photo opportunity. Our setup that we use is very clean. You're not going to see a bunch of cables hanging down or exposed. We want to keep everything looking really, really nice. And so I call it a complete appearance package. In this case right here, we had a white tablecloth, so I put a white uplight underneath it. I had some other uplights around this room, but everything looks good, sounds great, and we're ready for anything. This is what our setup looks like. Okay, now this is typically a review that I do during a presentation, but all of our systems we're completely wireless. So we use wireless microphones, 100% digital music. We have our backup equipment, as I mentioned earlier, same quality as the first setup. For example, another thing real quick, when I do a wedding where it requires 2 sound systems, I usually have at least 3, sometimes 4 different sound systems, because I want backup on backup. It's just it's just one of those things for me that I would rather be over prepared and not need something than to need it and not have it with me. As I mentioned earlier, we have that $1 million of liability insurance. It should be a given. Every DJ should have insurance, in my opinion, but again, it's not a make or break, but some places will not let us even set up until we give them proof of insurance. We guarantee all of our packages 100%. Many times I even do a double your money back guarantee. We are not the least expensive company in town. We're not the most expensive, but what we do is important. If you don't place a high priority on what we do, and you don't, and it's like all the things that I've discussed with you up to this point, if these things aren't important to you, there's a good chance that maybe we're not a good fit. But if you can really understand what we do, how important it is, and what a huge role this plays on the overall success of your wedding day, invest a little more on what's going to get you the results that you have to have. So when you hire us, you get 4 services included in all of our packages. You do not pay anything extra for these services. They're all inclusive. If you use them, great. If you don't, that's fine. The choice is yours. The first service that we provide is the personalized planning. So we would sit down and actually, plan out, help you discover what is going to be most important to you and different ways that we can accomplish it and make it stand out, but also create that timeline for you. Now, if you were to hire a planner outside of us, and a lot of couples do, and that's fine, a good planner, it's nice to have another professional there that knows what's supposed to take place. If the DJ that you hire doesn't do all of these things, then by all means, I would highly recommend that you get a planner of some sort so that they can help you make sure that everything runs smoothly, because obviously the person maybe that you hired as a DJ or the entertainment doesn't have that skill set. Typically, that's somebody that has not been doing it that long. Myself, I started again in '84, and I've planned over 12,000 weddings sitting face-to-face, one-on-one with couples. And that's what I prefer. So anyway, depending on how good they are, the beginning prices for planners are about $500. You can pay several $1,000s depending on their reputation and what they actually include in their services. The timeline and day of coordinating. Again, that kind of falls a little bit with the personalized planner, but now it's a coordinator. That, in my opinion, should be me. Nothing happens until your DJ, your entertainment, your MC introduces or presents it to you and your family and your friends. However, some people do not, or some companies do not do those things. So to hire a timeline and day of coordinator, you could invest anywhere from $800 up to, again, several thousand, depending on their abilities, what they're doing, and what expectations that you have from them. Professional master of ceremonies is our ability to inform everyone what's going to happen in a way that's reflective of you and your personalities. Then we will, guide or direct you, all of your family, friends, vendors, where they should be set up, or let them have the opportunity to get set up where they're going to get their best work accomplished before we guide you through all of the process. So again, we're going to inform everyone, direct everything, and then guide you through that process so it runs super smooth, accomplishes everything that's important to you, ultimately giving you the maximum amount of free time to have fun and create memories with your family and friends. You could pay anywhere from $800 to several thousand, again, for a master of ceremonies. I heard a story about Michael Buffer one time where he was this couple was huge into boxing matches and let's get ready to rumble type of thing. And so they reached out and they found out that they could hire Michael Buffer to come out and introduce their, I don't know if it was their first dance or their wedding party or what, but do his let's get ready to rumble thing. They were ready to pay him several thousands of dollars to do that. And then I guess a bigger event came up, something he couldn't get out of. And so he gave them a recording and still charge a significant amount of money. But you can pay a lot of money depending, again, on the personality, their experience, what they bring to the table, and how they accomplish their work. Final thing on this list is the disc jockey, the person that's going to play the music at the right volume, the right versions, but also create the right ambiance. An ambiance and an experience that reflects you, your personalities, and again, making sure that everything looks great, sounds great, so that you can just sit back, relax, and feel like a guest at your wedding. The national average for DJs is $1,200. That's kind of like the starting point as a national average. I think that's a low figure to me. I personally feel that's low. We actually have some packages that start lower than that, but I think that figure is a very low figure if the entertainment is important to you. I would not, invest less on something. It's always better to invest a little more, guaranteeing that you get the result that you're looking for with somebody that's capable of achieving those results, than to invest a little less and then have somebody that's totally incapable of getting, that result or that outcome that you have to have on your wedding day. And because now you don't get to go back and redo it. So that's kind of a wrap up of all of that. Now, earlier I mentioned love stories, and I had said something about, like how Neil and Christina wanted that first dance to be really special. Also, Michael and Erica did. And if I think back, there was probably a couple of the other couples that were in that first photograph that they wanted a love story. They wanted me to share their love story. So I have a set of questions. The rule is, or my guideline is that you are not allowed to share your answers with each other. You can do all the other planning and we can do all that together, but your love story questions are different. They're unique. So if you decide that you would like a love story, your love story shared before your first dance, and I'm going to give you a sample of what a love story kind of sounds like or looks like here in a moment, but you wouldn't share your answers with each other so that I can take your answers to these 20 questions and really make something unique and personal so that we can set up your first dance, if that's one of those really big moments on your wedding day, and make it really stand out and make it really special. So what I'd like you to do is I'd like you to watch Paul and Michaela here. I'd like you to watch their reactions as I go through this slideshow and share their story, as well as the reactions on the faces of their guests who are seated behind them. So Paul had this huge crush on Michaela, and he had this crush for 2 full years. But he couldn't share his feelings with Michaela because they had a professional relationship. Michaela is a pediatrician, and Paul was Michaela's pool boy. Well, Michaela gets on the phone. Her pool's dirty, and she gets on the phone. She says, "Hey, Paul, my pool's dirty. When can you come over and clean it?" Paul likes her, but he is so busy. He doesn't have any time for like the next 2, maybe 3 weeks. So he did what any guy would do. He lied to her. He said, "You know what, Michaela? I'm not doing anything right now." Liar. "I could be over your house in, let's say, 10 minutes. Would that work for you?" She goes, "Sounds great, Paul. Great. I'll see you in 10. So Paul goes over to her place. He cleans her pool. He's about ready. He's gathering up all of his equipment when Michaela walks out the back door, and she yells across the yard, "Hey, Paul, how am I looking?" Now, Paul knew she meant, "How does my pool look?" But guess who's been waiting 2 years to tell Michaela how she looks? That's right, Paul. So he drops everything and he beelines it straight toward Michaela. He begins to hyperventilate. "Oh my gosh, what am I going to say? Oh, I'm going to talk. He gets in front of Michaela. He looks her square in the eyes and he said, "Michaela, you are the most beautiful woman I have ever seen in my life. Oh, and your pool, it looks good too." Now, Michaela could have said, "Thank you, Paul, but no thank you." But she didn't. So they began to talk back and forth. And as they're talking, out of nowhere, took Paul by surprise, Michaela turned to Paul and she said, "Well, Paul, I've been looking for an addition to my family. Do you know where I might find And before she could finish her sentence, Paul thought Michaela, was looking for a man as an addition to her family. Poor Paul. Well, she finished her sentence. Do you know where I might find a dog? What Michaela didn't know was that Paul's biggest passion in life was not cleaning pools. It was rescuing stray dogs. And he had just found this beautiful chocolate lab. And as he's describing this dog to Michaela, she begins to fidget and point at him. And she's like, bring that dog. I want to meet the dog. So Paul takes the dog over to meet Michaela. They're having a conversation. And within, a minute, in fact, in less than 60 seconds, Michaela has already fallen head over heels in love with the dog, of course. But what, I love that. What she didn't realize is that Paul, until this moment, it was that Paul was much more than a pool boy to her now. He was her pool man. And they hit it off. Just before he left, he put his arm around Michaela and gave her one of those little hugs from the side. And when he did that, it was like the floodgates of emotion came over Michaela. And she turned and she looked at Paul and she said to herself, wow, this guy, he's amazing. Not only is he handsome, but he has a heart of gold. He rescues stray dogs. My dog. And with his arm around me right now, I don't want him to let go. Ever. So join me as we welcome to the dance floor for their first dance as husband and wife, Michaela and Paul. Two really important things happen here. Your guests have never heard your story shared like this before. So they're entertained, they're engaged, they're loving what's happening right before their eyes. And when I introduce you, after sharing your story, when I introduce you for your first dance, you are going to fall in love with each other all over again. And this is what it looks like. We've taken a moment and we've turned that moment into a memory that you're going to be able to look back and reflect upon and cherish for the rest of your lives. You can't see Michaela's face here, but her cheekbone is, she's a happy girl, and they are having the time of their lives. They're in the moment, they're in love. They just experienced what took them from when they met right up to their first dance on their wedding day. One of the greatest gifts that you can give to yourselves and your guests on your wedding day is the gift of the entertainment that you choose. It's going to guarantee that everyone, including you, will have an unforgettable experience. So what is the next step? I've shared some ideas with you. There's a lot that I didn't share, but there's so much more involved in creating that one of a kind day experiences that you want and that you want to gift to your family and friends for being there with you on your wedding day. So you can try to do all of these things yourself. And now we both, and I mentioned this earlier, it's like, there's certain things that you can't do. I mean, you probably can't marry yourselves. You can't probably play the music, although I can actually play the music and marry couples and do that all myself, which is kind of really fun to watch when I do that. But excuse me, you probably can't afford the best of everything, but you can afford a top professional in at least one, maybe two different things that are going to have the biggest impact in achieving what's most important to you on your day. That's going to get you that outcome, the results, the experience that you want to be able to look back on throughout the years. Second choice is you could have us do it with you, meaning I could help you plan everything. I do have services even where I just do the planning. But it's really nice, in my opinion, to get somebody that knows how to do the planning and then actually knows how to do the follow through and make it happen. Your wedding is a live event. Things are going to come up. You want somebody that has the knowledge and the experience to be able to take something that maybe wasn't planned, make the adjustments on the fly, and make it look like they planned it a year in advance. And again, I have lots of stories, and I will share some of those with you another time if we do a one-on-one. In fact, I may, who knows, I may share one more with you here before we finish. But so you could either do it yourself, have someone do it with you, plan your wedding, or you can have it done for you, do it for you, which means like you might hire a planner or a consultant. But that consultant, and I think it's great when you have the money to do these things. If you don't, then you need somebody that can kind of multitask. And everything that I've talked about, the planning and the coordinating and the follow through, is what a top high quality DJ should have in their arsenal and what they offer in their skill set. But let's just say you do hire a planner. Now that money that you've used to hire a good planner, or even just an adequate planner or a top end planner, is money now that you have to sacrifice on the other things that may have accomplished something more important to you. That's where you have to make these decisions. And then there's another option here is you can just schedule, get more information. You can schedule a free needs analysis with me. I'm going to tell you how to do that in a moment. But also it's like, I want to know what questions you have. So if you have any questions, I'd like you to reach out. You can either do it on the video, or I'm going to give you my number here in a minute. But let's look at this. When you schedule a free consultation needs analysis, I'm going to help you discover the results that you desire most. So you're going to know exactly what you're going to need to accomplish it, so that you don't spend money on things that aren't necessary. Every dollar you put towards your wedding will either move you closer to the results you desire most, or they'll have very little or no impact on them at all. During that free needs analysis, I'm also going to help you know exactly what you're going to need to achieve everything. This is going to maximize every minute of your time so that you're not focused on things that you don't need to do. It'll maximize every dollar that you put towards your wedding and eliminate all of the stress that goes along with not doing something. You may have never planned a wedding before. In fact, most of the couples that I work with will say, I have no idea. I've never done this before. I don't know where to begin, what I should do next, anything. And that's where I come in. I do this all the time. I love this. I have a passion for this. And I would love to help you. I would love to get to know you. So you can schedule your free needs analysis right now by calling or texting me at the number 602-370-1135. Or you can email me at robert@justweddingsaz.com. Obviously, we want to ensure that your date is available, either for myself or maybe one of my team members. I am not the right choice or person for every couple. But for those that are looking for something extraordinary and they want to be able to relax and feel like a guest at their own wedding, those are the people that, if you place a high priority on that final result, the outcome, wanting to have a great flowing, stress-free day where everyone's engaged, entertained, dancing, and having the time of their lives with you, I think you owe this to yourself. Go ahead and call. Let's set up a time where we can do a one-on-one. And then also, if you're not ready for that, just say, hey, Robert, I'd like to get more information. I'm not ready for a one-on-one, and I'm going to be doing some group calls where I do some Q&As. And then this way, you and other couples can hear what other folks are thinking and questions that they have. This is going to help you. It's going to help each other. And that's what I want to do, is I want to help you accomplish everything important to you on your wedding day so you can have the time of your lives. Again, I hope this was helpful. Let me go ahead and stop the share here. And if you have any questions, please reach out to me. I'd love to hear from you. It's been a pleasure sharing my passion with you. And I hope I have an opportunity to learn more and help you achieve everything and every result that's important to you on your wedding day. Take care. Have a great day. And hopefully we'll talk soon. Thanks. Bye.